Hi, everyone. Through the years, one thing Forrest Fenn had done is draw emphasis to how important knowing the starting point was. He probably said hundreds of times quotes very similar to the ones that I'm going to show you right now. So these are his most important comments, in my opinion, okay, because he emphasized over and over and over how important knowing the starting location is. So here are some examples. The first clue in the poem is begin at where warm water salt. That's the first clue. If you can't figure that clue out, you don't have anything. Go to the first clue, and then the clues are consecutive after that. If you can decipher the clues, you're going to find that treasure chest. If you don't know where the first clue is, you might as well stay home because you're not going to find the treasure chest. You can't be out looking for the blaze and expect to find the treasure chest. There are 10 billion blazes out there. So you have to start with the first clue and let it take you to the blaze. And here's another one, a Q&A from Jenny's. And this one's important. Okay, so listen to this one close. You tell us that we should find where warm water salt before trying to solve any of the other clues. Imagining that we haven't seen the rest of the poem and all we have to go on is begin at where warm water salt and somewhere in the mountains north of Santa Fe. Do you think that we can confidently determine the starting place for your treasure trail? Steve. Here's Forrest's answer. No. If all you have to go on are those two clues, you cannot proceed with confidence. F. So Forrest Fenn is basically telling you that where warm water salt alone, just those words, is not enough to locate any place on any map where warm water salt. See, he's telling us right there that if he told you, hey, meet me up, up there in the mountains that are north of Santa Fe, begin at where warm water salt. If he told you those two things, you would have no clue where to meet him. Look at this map here of the East Coast. Could you figure out where there is on this map? Nope. There's a billion places on this map. You can't figure out where there is. Okay. It's not enough. Well, how about if I said, as I have gone alone in there and with my treasures bold, I can keep my secret where and hint of riches new and old. Could you figure out where there is? Nope. So remember again, remember, this is a treasure hunt. The poem is a map, right? So he's definitely not going to reveal our destination because if he told you the destination, everybody would just go straight to the destination and get the chest. So instead, he emphasizes that the only way you're going to get there is if you know the correct starting spot. Here's a map of Wyoming. So we know that the first clue is begin at where warm water salt. Now we also, of course, know by now that the chase is over, that Wyoming is where it was found. But Forrest already indicated that you cannot determine the place to start without first deciphering the clues. You cannot determine the starting spot without the rest of the poem. Begin it where warm water salt is not enough. He said this hundreds of times, okay? And interesting enough, most searchers ignored those statements and jumped directly to a map of Google Earth. We're beginning on the wrong foot, but we're using our personal bias to try and determine where warm water salt. All of us are guilty of this at one point or another. We randomly choose places that seem to have names or locations that are associated with water temperature, water flow, hot springs, confluences, etc. But none of them are going to be the ideal way to do it, right? Because it doesn't matter what we think where warm water salt means. What matters is what Forrest thinks it meant. I mean, think about it. How many people have come up with some of the following examples for clues in the poem? Hebgen Lake, Madison Junction, Mammoth Hot Springs, Thermopolis, Issa Lake, Firehole River, Wedding of the Waters, Browns Park in Colorado, Dinosaur National Park, Molly Brown's home, Eagle's Nest, Aquafria, etc. Okay? Many of them might be good clue choice locations, but all of them are pure speculation and cannot be proven with just the poem. It'll literally take you decades if you're going to try to do it that way. And I believe that's why we constantly fail. Okay. I mean, look at this map. Where are you going to go? I could probably name 100 different places that might be synonymous or might have something to do with water halting or multiple waters halting or temperature and so on. And I could do that in every state, not just Wyoming. And back to this East Coast map again. Look, there's a road on here, for example, that goes all the way from Maine down to Key West. I think it's like 1,500 miles long. Okay. Mile marker 0 is in Key West. And the end of the road is up here. It's called Route 1. It's a famous road on the East Coast. It goes way back to, when we first had cars and there were nothing, especially down here, nothing but ruts from like Model Ts heading down to Florida. Okay. Now, if I told you to go on that road, okay, meet me on Route 1, you would probably look at me really strange because where are you going to meet me? Right? Are you going to meet me down in Key West? Are you going to meet me up in Maine or any one of the states along the way? Where are you going to meet me? Which direction are you going to go? You're going to go north? You're going to go south? You have to have a starting point. Otherwise, the map is meaningless. Think about it. You can have any map in the world and it'll take you anywhere. The problem is most of the time we know our destination, right? We don't in this case because it's a treasure hunt. So what we do is we look at the destination on the map, which in our case is going to be the final clue. And Forrest says you can't figure out the final clue without first finding out the starting location. If you know where you live, then you have your starting location. You would just go from where you live to your destination. But we don't know where the starting location is. It's in the map, right? And he emphasizes that over and over. So anybody that has a solution that begins with, well, I think where warm water salt is Madison Junction, you might as well just stop there. You're wrong. Or I think where warm water salt is Firehole River. Again, stop there. You're wrong. You're using your own personal bias. You can't work that way. So now here's one of the biggest ones that I want to show you that's related to what I'm talking about here. This is probably the biggest thing that people overlook, and it emphasizes what I'm trying to tell you here. And it's from Jenny's 6 Questions with Forrest Fenn, February 4th, 2013. Question: I am sure you're aware that the thrill of the chase has captured many hearts and ambitions of those who have read your book. Are you happy with the way the search for your hidden treasure is going? Do you have any regrets? Or more importantly, would you like to see anything different in the way people are chasing the prize? Forrest Fenn answers right away. What I didn't expect was the number of people who immediately started searching maps and using Google Earth to locate their special spots. So, right there, he's giving you a hint that if you're immediately reading the poem and jumping directly to the map without first deciphering the clues, you're doing it wrong. You're wasting your time. You're just using your own personal favorite special spots, not his spot, his starting spot. So, Jenny, on her forum, when she was going over things in 2020, she posted about that and she just wanted to get other people's opinions on it. And what she posted was he didn't expect many of us to start searching maps, and yet that is how we have been told to solve the poem. What are we supposed to do? Was he surprised we were searching maps or just the number of people doing it? The best answer to that, hands down, goes to Sean Dodson. Now, check out what Sean Dodson's response was to Jenny. It's brilliant. I mean, I think he's right on the money. Uh, so Sean Dodson says, Jenny, if you don't know where you're going, then any map will do, right? He actually got that quote from Forrest because that's Forrest that said that to somebody. If you're in Epcot Center, a map of Disney World is not going to help you out at all, right? So that's basically a quick point that Sean's trying to make there. So Jenny comes back to him and she's like, great point. We must first know where we are going. And this, I suppose you were suggesting, is not found on a map, but it's still in the poem. Sean Dodson replies, Jenny, my thought was that they are where people out searching on maps and Google Earth for their special place when the poem is supposed to give us the correct starting point. Then from there, one would know exactly which map they will need, as well as the region that Forrest's special place resides in or at. So I guess that is what he didn't expect. Maybe he expected people to stick with the poem and figure out the first or the most important clue first before looking at maps and Google Earth. And then maybe this is why he said several times, get back in the box. So a good what if might be, what if the poem alone gives me all the information I need to identify the correct starting location? That right there is exactly how our thought frame was working on our solution. The poem itself, if you understand it and read it properly, tells you the starting point. And then Sean posts this comment that Forrest made. It was vital that no one share my knowledge of the treasure location. Two can keep a secret if one of them is dead. No one has any secret information that will take them to the hiding place. It's all in the poem for all to see. In other words, there is no secret. Everything is right there in the poem if you do exactly what the poem is telling you to do. Sean Dodson's a smart guy. I really wish he was on our team years ago just because he's a poem purist. As you guys already know, in our solve, we use the poem as indicated within the poem itself in order to determine a very precise, non biased starting location. How? Because all 9 clues exist only in the poem until you decipher them. Where warm water salt, where is it? It's in the poem. Alma Brown, it's in the poem. Canyon Down, in the poem. Do exactly what the poem is telling you, and it provides the exact one and only valid starting point. Once you know that, then you're ready to go and get the correct map and go to the on site location and use whatever is at that location and on that map to solve the rest of the clues. That is how you get to the treasure chest. This is not a crossword puzzle where you pick random words all over the place in a haphazard manner. The poem is very precise and it tells you exactly what to do. There are no synonyms. The words mean exactly what you might think they mean. There's no trickery, you know. There's no subterfuge. There's no crap like taking words such as gone and claiming that it means the end. It doesn't mean the end. You're instructed in the poem to take treasures and place it in there at a very precise location in the poem at the home of Brown. And there's only one place you will find info about Try the Wheel, by the way. And that's right here on my channel or with Sam and I. We're the only 2 people that worked on it, not counting 1 or 2 other partners that Sam had before me. So anything else you're hearing from other people, that's their solve. And sure, there may be plenty of versions of other solves, but Try the Wheel is the one that I posted, and it works exactly the way I posted it. Nothing was missed. We didn't overlook anything. If you found other things haphazardly by treating the poem as a crossword puzzle and you're reading diagonally, backwards, upside down, and corner to corner and just picking random words, that's your own gig. That has nothing to do with this. You're not following the poem. You're just going through and finding random words. There's every letter in the alphabet is in that poem multiple times except for the letter X. I could probably find a million words in there by doing ridiculous things like that. But we don't do that. We are reading the poem and doing exactly what it says. So when he says begin it where warm water's halt, our first question is what is it? So it is determined by the first stanza. And he's telling you right there, as I have gone alone in there and with my treasured bowl. So when he's in there, he's with his treasures. Okay. So he's telling you to go in there. So where is there? Well, there only exists in 2 places in the poem. It exists on line 1 and it exists on line 9. So if we take the word treasures and we start spelling it down, that column from the T in halt, the first word that we're going to choose for the R is there because he's telling us that his treasures is with there. And then from there, it's no place for the meek. Well, no place for the meek is the end, and we're working down there. We're not hopping all over the poem and finding random words. We're doing exactly what it says. But my primary point here is I believe that's the reason why most of us failed initially. We were looking at the poem and we were trying to find things on the poem, names of places that were synonymous to what we believe where warm water salt meant. And that was completely the wrong way to go about this. And Forrest was trying to get it in our head over and over and over again. I didn't realize it until 2017. That's when I went back to the poem. And I discussed a lot of this stuff with Sean Dotson. I wanted him to do the grammar analysis of the poem because he probably would have been better at it than me. I mean, the guy is brilliant. He needs to come back and give us his thoughts. I'd really be interested to hear what he says, now that everything is over and most of the other channels have gone down the conspiracy road and they have all oddball things that they're discussing. My only concern at this point is what is the ending to the poem? I would like Jack to verify it. I believe the ending to the poem is exactly what I put out there. And it was at the upper Five Springs campground, exactly where I show you. And it all is based around try the wheel, exactly as I showed you, not how anybody else showed you. They don't have any idea. They were never partnered with Sam. They don't know how it works. And they're basically misleading you. And don't get me wrong, that's their solve. That's their own whatever they're doing. They might believe it works, whatever. That's their job to try to sell it, not me. But don't go there and try to say this is how try the wheel works. You don't know how try the wheel works. Try the wheel is Sam's gig, and we're the ones that worked on it. And it works exactly the way I said. Is it the correct solve? I can't prove that. Okay. I don't even know if Jack could prove it, honestly, because I don't know that he knows the complete solution. I believe he's the finder, like I told you all before, but I just don't believe he solved the poem on his own. I believe he used information that was out there on the internet in some fashion or another. So anyway, that's really all I had to say. I just want to point out that the obvious thing here is that most of us overlook the main thing that Forrest is trying to tell us. We have to decipher the clues in the poem without modifying the poem, I got to say. Don't remove the punctuation, don't remove the spaces. Just read the poem from beginning to end and do precisely what the poem tells you to do because that's all we had. Those are Forrest's words, okay? He's telling you how to find the starting location. Once you know the starting location, you read the poem again, and this time all the clues are going to fall into place and nothing is self biased. You're doing everything exactly as he told you in the poem. And that's the way he intended this to be solved. He was surprised that nobody was doing that in the first few years. They were just running up and down streams and going to any place that Forrest mentioned in the thrill of the chase. That's not how you solve the poem. That's how an amateur, and we were all amateurs in the chase when we first started. And that's all kind of the craziness that we did. One of the problems I think that we had is that everybody goes through a phase. The first part of the phase when you get into chases, oh my God, everybody's so stupid. I figured it out in 10 minutes, of course. And then after your first year, maybe your boots on the ground, you realize how stupid that was and you were completely wrong. So now you start going out there and you try to get into discussions with people to try and really solve it, right? Maybe build a team. Or some people would go out there and maybe they start lurking and reading more or doing other things and they want to remain private to themselves. They don't want to share any information. That's fine. But that's the second phase. Okay. The problem is every year after year, even now that the chase is over, we get a bunch of new searchers coming in and they're doing the same things that we did years ago. They're coming back with the same old stuff, Madison Junction and dip your toes. And all of it is, laughably wrong. We've proven it wrong over the years. But everybody's got to go through that phase. And unfortunately, when you try to discuss things, it leads to arguments because frankly, we're tired of hearing all this old stuff rehashed year after year after year. That's one of the reasons why I made my channel. I didn't have a forum and I didn't want to discuss the same stuff over and over. I wanted to try to bring new and interesting things that I came up with or my partner came up with. whenever the rare occasion occurs that I mentioned something that somebody else came up with, I always gave them credit. For example, Susie Fenhaven is a perfect example. She's got a lot of good stuff out there, and I credited her a lot. But I'm just telling you now that, like, you'll easily see, and everybody that's been on the chase for many years, they know right away when they hear any solution that somebody is looking at a map and they're looking at a bunch of trees that looks like an owl, or they're saying I must be wise because this is Owl Creek Mountains, or it must have something to do with warm water because it's in Thermopolis. And right off the bat, those solves are wrong. They're wrong. The person's telling you their opinion. But like I said, we all go through that. Eventually, we end up doing stuff that's more involved, and then that's when things become fun. So anyway, everybody, hope you all have a good rest of the week and a good weekend. This weekend coming up, Sunday is going to be a pretty big day for me. My wife and I are celebrating our 40th wedding anniversary. Everybody have a good day. Peace.